Hi, my name is Harris. I'm one of your podcast hosts. I'm also a lawyer at Treadstone Law. For most Canadians, buying, selling, or refinancing real estate, a lawyer is the last thing on their mind. That's unfortunate because lawyers play a vital role in the process. But what choices do Canadians have? Lawyers can be very expensive. Well, Treadstone Law offers resources to Canadians so they have access to the information they need. Whether you sign up for a live workshop or a mailing list, we cover topics to help you make informed decisions and avoid costly mistakes. It's advice you can start using today, and best of all, it's free. Visit treadstonelaw.ca/MAS offer or click the link below to get access right now. If you're looking to retain Treadstone Law, it's never been easier. Our entire process is online. From completing the retainer agreement to your signing appointment, everything is done from the comfort of your own home. We're your digital lawyers. The best part of it is that you don't pay anything when you're retaining our firm. Visit treadstonelaw.ca/MAS offer or click on the link below to retain us right now. Enjoy the podcast. Welcome to another podcast, another episode of Hustle and Grit, actually. Today we got a wonderful guest, Kevin Yu. Kevin is a broker of record at Royal LePage Terre Equity Kevin Yu Realty, a Toronto-based real estate brokerage with over 13 years of experience. Kevin and his team help busy families move up their homes in Toronto's urban communities. I think we've got an amazing podcast set for you guys today. Kevin, how are you doing?
I'm good, Eris. Thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be on your podcast.
It's a pleasure having you. So I just want to kick things off, as I always do. I want to learn a little bit about yourself for all my listeners who really may not know you or may not know you as well as they think they do. Can you give us a little kind of rundown as to how you got into real estate? Was this something that you knew from when you were born and I'm going to be a realtor? Or is it something that you kind of naturally progressed into? What was your kind of story to get where you are today?
Well, to be honest, I didn't want to be a realtor. That was never on my radar at all. I went to university for computer science. I was a software developer for many years. I decided to change direction because I didn't want to sit in front of a computer all day, which I'm still doing to this day, but in a different way. And I fell into real estate by accident. Originally, my wife wanted to be a realtor. She went through all the courses, and I was like, oh, this is fun. I'll do it with her. And then at the end, the last phase, she was like, this is not for me. And I kept on going. And then that's how I got into real estate by accident because my wife wanted to be a realtor. But funny enough, my wife is my head stager on my team now because that's part of her forte because she loved houses and designs. That's why she wanted to get in real estate. But she didn't like the hustling and didn't like the sale, like the lead generation, prospecting, all the other stuff that no one knows about real estate until we get into the game, right?
Fair enough. No, I feel like a lot of people from the outside are like, "Whoa, this is like a really glamorous industry." And it is. There's a lot of attraction to it. I can definitely say that. But there's a lot of hard work that goes into servicing clients and making sure they get what they're looking for, because it's not a small decision. But for you, how did you go from, like, I would say programming or computer science is something where you can easily get a stable job, and you can work until your twilight years, and then they'll still keep getting you to work. But moving towards real estate, this is like kind of like we just touched upon right now. You eat what you kill. You don't necessarily, there isn't a paycheck every other Friday or whatever it is. You really have to put in that kind of effort, and especially if you're coming from a computer science I feel like background, there's a lot of things that you have to learn. So what kind of got you to be like, all right, you know what? I do want to jump into this profession and make this a serious move. What was kind of going through your mind, and how did you kind of, if there was any inhibitions, how did you kind of get over them?
Well, the thing is, when I got in real estate as well, I thought I was like, oh, all glamour as well. I've been driving like a luxury car after my first deal. That's why. But unfortunately, when you get into it, you start getting coached and realize that not everyone wants to work with you all of a sudden because you have a license. It was a different ball game, and I came to realize that because of that, though, I wasn't going to give up, first of all, and
Yeah.
I was going to keep on going for and I had some great mentors. I luckily enough had some great mentors my first year that took me under their wing and sort of taught me how to be a good realtor. And I have an interesting story when I first became a realtor as well. That first 3 months became a realtor, I went snowboarding with my wife in Whistler. Um,
Mm.
First time there, I'm saying powder like that before. Like we rolled like crazy. The second day, ended up having a weird fall, severed my Achilles tendon like
Oh
completely,
man.
like completely. And I was like, I had to come back to Toronto and have surgery, and then to reattach it. And but I was all in.
Yeah.
My wife was pregnant, wasn't working. Like it was near the near giving birth to our child, and I couldn't drive or anything that first year.
Yeah.
But because of I was all in. I couldn't give up. I had to keep on going. So my wife used to drive me to all my showing the day before my showing, so I could inspect the places. Get my clients are lucky enough. I mean, were kind enough to drive me on the days of showing to the places, but I couldn't go upstairs of these places because I had
Mm.
no idea what they look like. So my wife had video for me of the second floors and stuff. So, but so that first year was very tough. It was me and my wife. Like we had to do triple the amount of work for anything that we had to do.
Mm.
That first year, I ended up being rookie of the year at my brokerage
Oh
because of
wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
we ended up doing a lot of deals, a lot of because I guess people respected how much I was working as well, and I didn't drop the ball. They didn't wasn't pity that they were working with me,
Yeah.
just because they saw that I was bringing value to the game. And then from then on, I just kept on working harder and harder every year, and smarter, obviously. And I learned a lot from a lot of coaches and just had great managers, and I surround myself with good people. And because of
Yeah.
that, you know how it is. If you have good support around you, that's how you learn how to go forth. And I realized that you always have to develop skills. I'm an introvert by trade.
Yeah.
I'm not an extrovert.
Yeah.
I but developed skills to be an extrovert, to be in sales, be a consultant. All that stuff's been learned. On a normal night when I'm not working, I'm at home reading a book or doing things on my computer. That's
Yeah.
what I like to do. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I still like parties and see my friends, but
Yeah.
that's not the first thing I choose to do. Right. So
Yeah. I mean, I think people kind of confuse the extrovert and introvert that if you're like introverted, you never want to see people again. It's just that you need, and I feel like I'm the same way. You need some time to yourself to recharge, and then you're happy to be around people. It's just that you're not, at least for me, I'm not going to be around people all the time for forever. Like I need some time to just kind of empty out. And I feel like one of those, that trait also is a great, I guess, for clients. There's tons of introverts and extroverts that you can actually listen to and understand what they want, and it brings a different kind of care to the client in this entire process that an extrovert may give. Not saying that an extrovert is bad, but it's a different type of experience, and it's a much needed experience.
100%. No, you're right on that, Harris. Like I learned that to be very good at real estate, you have to talk 20% of the time and listen
Mm,
80% of the time
yeah.
and analyze and you have to listen to your clients. You have to let them speak their mind. You can't convince someone to buy a house. Like
Yeah.
either they decide or not. Like that's the thing. But you have to create the experience, the journey for them, that they make the right decision. Like we guide them to the right decisions by listening and giving
Yeah.
proper feedback from listening what they're thinking. And I that's why first year I was like first and second year I was always worried about how to close a deal, how to close a deal, how to close a deal. And then I found that that wasn't the proper way because it was just because your clients feel it that you're pushy and stuff like that. You just want
Yeah.
to. So I switched the way I was like operating, where it was I work at the pace of my clients, no matter what the pace is, and you just give proper guidance. If you give proper guidance and create the journey, then that's more important, and your clients feel it, and that's at the end of the game. That's what you want as well. You want them to have a great experience because it's a very special time in their lives. A lot of
Yeah.
people move because they're going to something fun and like they got a job, they got inheritance, whatever it is. They're trying to buy joy essentially. The new
Yeah.
they have,
Yeah.
and we have to create that path for them, right? So
Yeah.
and you can't add stress and all those things, but even though it is a stressful situation, but we learn to deal with stress by creating great expectations for our clients and setting the tone so that there's no surprises. And that's what I learned from having my team. We create processes and systems. We're very efficient. And
Yeah.
that's where computers come in as well, because that's you create structure, create procedures, and so that things that you repeat, you have to have a good, you could do it again and again without
Yeah.
flying by the seat of the pants. So in our backing, we have like checklists, like to to like hundreds and hundreds of checklists,
Yeah.
everything out there, because we worry that much about creating proper experience for our clients.
Yeah, I mean, because the thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're in a better place than I would. A lot of the issues that you're facing or your clients are facing may be new for that particular client, but you've seen it somewhere along the way with other clients, and that is a good kind of experience. Not to say, hey, they're exactly like one another, but hey, here's something that you may want to consider, and kind of guiding them based on the experience you've had with like all these other kind of clients that you've worked with.
Hmm. That's right. Exactly. Because the thing is, first-time home buyers have the same sort of issues, same sort of fears, like similar.
Mm,
Obviously, they come from different backgrounds, and there's other stuff involved, and their mindset towards things. But they have similar questions, like what, how do you buy a house? How do you what's a home inspection? Like what
yeah.
happens during the financing? All those sort of things. What happens during the status certificate review with the lawyers, right? Same sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
we set the tones for that. And we wrote a lot of blogs, like emails that explains these sort of things, so that they're not in the dark. So that when
Yeah.
decisions, they know that there's no lot of what ifs. Like all those what ifs are taken care of, so that they can focus on the important things, like price, condition, all those other things are
Mm.
more important than all the little small things, right?
Yeah, because I guess that small thing is more like it's gonna happen regardless. There's like at every stage you got to focus on a few kind of things, and in the beginning, I'm assuming it's like you're really trying to get that APS down, and you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the price, what's the conditions you want to throw in, and how can we kind of negotiate this. But kind of, and I guess this is a good segue into this. You've got a successful team, and you've got great experience. Can you give our listeners a little bit about the journey of what it's like to work with your team? Are you guys like, do clients have to come into the office? Is this something that you can start over the phone? What's that entire kind of journey on figuring out that, hey, I'm just trying to figure out whether they need to sell their house and move up to actually that entire process. What's that kind of journey with your team?
Okay. So our journey is that, first of all, like, we help out our niche clients that we work
Mm,
with, mover uppers. Are they moving from like a rental to their own first home, first condo, or they're moving up from a small condo townhouse to a bigger detached,
mm-hmm.
semi-detached home? So we work with those sort of intricacies, and how it usually starts is that we actually have a method for this called the working for you method. And what we do is, it's a step-by-step process that we go through with all our clients, where the first thing is we have a first initial call, which is 5 or 10 minutes, just to see where they are. And then we set up a consult. The first consult is usually the buyer consult, but where they want to go to. And from
Mm-hmm.
that buyer consult, we usually do it during Zoom, because we find that it's more efficient for everyone. They don't have to clean up their house. We don't have to come by,
Right. Yeah.
like all
Yeah.
the little things, and travel time, all that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong, we still do in-person meeting, but we find that the Zoom meetings work very well for a lot of people because
Yeah.
of timing things and kids and stuff that as well.
Yeah.
A lot of our clients do have young kids. And during that consult, it takes about like an hour and a half, where we dive deep about what they're looking for. It's not just like where they want to go and all that stuff. We learn about their lifestyle, what they're used to, where they want to be, what pains they're dealing with right now,
Mm-hmm.
what does their next home look like, and all those things. And then from then, I check with the team. I'm like, okay, this is what they're looking for, and we strategize what their next home looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing, we assess their home to make sure, what their home looks like, what they need to do, get the home ready. Because the thing is, balancing buying and selling is very intricate if you're not, and it could be very stressful if you don't have plans or strategies. We never like to be caught by surprises. So
Mm-hmm.
plan the sale of the house depending on we sell first or buy first. But either way, we create a strategy for our clients of what they need to do to get ready. We don't tell them to do everything. We do them based on their resources, their time, and the market, what they need to do with the house. Because we don't want to do extra stuff, spend extra time and money on the house when it's not going to get a return on their time
Mm-hmm.
or investment. And from then, we decide if they buy or sell first, depending on the markets they're going to, the markets they're coming from, right? What they do first. And we have a whole team for that. I have 2 admin assistants. I have a buyer specialist. I handle all the listings. And I have 2 full-time stagers on my house that helps with
Mm-hmm.
getting the house ready. And the reason why we have full-time stagers on our house is that we found that when I was doing third-party staging, They were not as efficient. They dropped the ball from time to time. We didn't get all the furniture that they need and all this stuff. So I actually have a warehouse full of furniture as well. That
Oh
have
wow.
yeah. So we control the whole process from beginning
Yeah.
to end. There's no surprises. We control the whole timeline. And from
Yeah.
because of that, though, we I know there's not going to be many surprises, if any.
Yeah.
We know what's going to happen because if we control like what furniture goes in, when the movers come in, like all this stuff. We even do full stages where, depending on if they could move out or not, the house, we'll take all the furniture out if it doesn't match what the house should
Mm-hmm.
look like. We move it out, put it into storage, move all our stuff in, like complete stage, and looks. We would make the whole house look like a showroom because you know that you get more money that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially in markets like this where it's not completely seller's market, depending on where the market they're selling from. We need to, hedge the odds in our favor of selling first, right?
Yeah.
That staging gets you an extra 5 to 7% more. If you're selling a $1 million house, that's an extra 50 grand in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of money. It's a lot
Yeah.
of money, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's from staging. We know that staging and presentation marketing is very important. So that's why we control that process as well.
Oh wow! So you guys are very like unified throughout the entire process, which is good because you know what? A lot of times you hear like you're working with one party, and this is what is my least favorite part of the real estate industry is like clients are sometimes passed around like a baton, like hey, I'm done now, you go over there, and then they're done, and then you go over somewhere else, and they don't really get the entire kind of service, and they're kind of left guessing sometimes because sometimes they get different messages on everything, and it's. Opinions are good, but when you're kind of in a situation like this, when you're selling an asset that's worth like the most or the largest part of your wealth, you don't want to take chances and you want to go to like one person who can kind of really figure everything out. And for the listeners who, again, I'm just throwing this out in the middle of this podcast, but if you're wanting to reach out to Kevin, depending on where you're listening from, I'm putting his contact information on the side or below. So definitely reach out to his team. So I want to also change gears now because I think that this year, 2022, it has been a roller coaster ride, and 2023 is kind of unsure. We started 2022 off of like with lockdowns, and people don't remember that because we've had so many rate hikes and all this stuff going on with the economy, wars, and all this other stuff. So people kind of really, 2022 has been so kind of crazy from where we started and where we're ending off. People don't even remember where we started off.
That's right.
And that's led to a lot of people kind of, I would say, because of the real estate market, they're wondering where it's going, whether they should jump in, whether they should not. But so I just want to kick things off and kind of ask you what your opinion is of 2023. Is it more of 2022, or do you feel that we're going to have a change in interest rates or housing prices or any kind of economic factors that is going to significantly change what we experience in 2022?
Okay. Here's a great question. It's a lot
loaded question.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving parts. It's all good. Like I'm not an economist for
Yeah.
obvious reasons, but at the same time, I know that there's going to be another potential rate hike in January, which is probably 50 basis points, which is okay. The good thing is that I know of, which is in my wheelhouse, is that I've been watching prices in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I've been noticing in the steep drop has happened from February down to June. Like you can see on the graph, it goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
But for the last 4 months, prices have pretty much plateaued and evened out. We might or might not be at the bottom right now, potentially. And the thing is, there hasn't been any more drastic drops, even with the last interest rate hike that I'm seeing. But at the same time, we know that doesn't take an effect right away. But the other good news is that I know the bond market is going down. When that happens, we know what happens with fixed prices, fixed interest rates. They go down as well, along with the bond market. Not anything drastic. But either way, the other thing that I'm seeing in a lot of Toronto neighborhoods, like Roncesvalles, Hyde Park, Bloor West, the desirable ones like the Beach, Leslieville, inventory is very low in those areas because there's a little bit of holding pattern right now. The sellers that would have came on the market because of they want to move up or whatnot are not doing the move right now because they're scared about the interest rate hikes. They're saying, "Oh no, I have a 2% right now. I don't want to pay 5%. That's crazy." But the other part of the equation that these sellers don't realize is that the houses that they're moving to are cheaper right now too. They came
Mm.
down 15, 20%. Even though the value of their house have come down, the value of the house they're moving to, which is a bigger asset, they're going, let's say they go from $1 million to $2 million and everything came down 20%. Yeah, your house is worth 800,000, but that $2 million house is worth 1.6 right now. So
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
gaining 200,000 by doing the move. And
Yeah.
that, and even with interest rates that are higher, you're still, the carrying cost is about the same when you look at it, when you do a calculation where buying at a $2 million house at like 1 or 2% is the same thing. It's very similar to buying 1.6 mil at about 5%. Like the monthlies is where you live. That's where you can afford. And that's what we coach our clients to focus on. Don't focus on what the prices, because prices eventually amortize out and they balance out anyways. We know that real estate on average about 7 to 8% increase with corrections built into it and spikes built into it. Like when you look at it over a 10-year span, and that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing about real estate that we have to remind our clients, even though it is an investment, it's where you live. And even myself, I don't care. I don't time the market when I move. Every time I moved because I was dealing with the pain that I needed dealt with. I need more office space, second bedroom,
Yeah.
backyard, whatever it is. I didn't care what was happening with the market because I know that the market will even out. And same thing with the mover uppers right now. They shouldn't worry about what's happening. What do you see in the media? Like the media is always going to take things out of context and scare you because that's how they get clicks. Like unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's how it works, right? Like media, they want you to read their articles, even though it's a lot of clickbait headline articles. In reality, like what I'm seeing, what's going to happen in the market next year because of the low inventory and the average price is going like where it is, we might be a plateau or might just inch out a little bit in the desirable neighborhoods that is. But places
Yeah.
like nothing against Stouffville or Durham, whatever, they spike too much and they don't have similar sort of things that we have downtown, which is, like being close to financial districts, entertainment districts, all those things that we don't have. But those places have come down a lot already. They came down like 20 to 30% depending on the neighborhood. But it looks like prices have plateaued in the last little while. I don't think they're going to drop like extreme anymore.
Yeah.
But there are some people out there that think that's going to be doom and gloom for the next little while. But I believe real estate right now is pretty stable, and it's going to be like that for the next little while. And it's and people should move if they need to move. Like it's if you're the FOMO moving that was happening at the beginning of the year and last
Yeah.
is gone, obviously, right? Because everyone's like getting in. It's like, oh, price is gonna be crazy. You know what? Like the correction's here. Like it has come already, and a lot of people are like, oh, I'll buy when there's a correction. Well, here it is. And
Yeah.
it's still not moving, right? But they don't even it's still not moving. There's still people that are moving. People that understand that it's the long term game for real estate. We're not day trading real
Yeah.
estate. Right? You can't day trade real estate.
Yeah.
Up and down. You don't worry about up and down. You worry about what the 10-year, 20-year looks like.
Yeah, I mean, that's what has really kind of annoyed me. A lot of the analysis and a lot of the stuff that's going on the news and how people are kind of digesting it is that they're treating it like TikTok or Instagram, where it's like, oh my God, oh, interest rate, my price of my house went up today or down today. Like, are you selling? No, well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to you. So, and the other thing is that 100% like to what you're saying, prices for houses have come down. My thinking has always been prices have come down. You can refinance in 5 years, and you don't owe that extra 200,000. Like look at what everybody's kind of did now. They paid a high amount because interest rates were low. Interest rates went up. You still owe that whatever principal that you borrowed. Now you can actually buy at a good price, and then you can refinance when interest rates low. And to another point where, and I'm clearly opinionated about all of this, is that when there's a lot of people who are like, you know what, I want to wait and see the bottom of the market. And when you wait for the bottom, the only way you're going to see the bottom is when it's going up, and it's going to go up much faster than it came to where it is.
I agree.
So I always say, like, you know what, and you and I have spoken about this too. It's a great time to buy, just because as a law firm, we've seen people have interesting deals, right? Like deals that were very, in my opinion, risky, where you were not able to put in those conditions. Unfortunately, that was a market condition, and they're giving the best, you're coming to the best deals they possibly could at that time, especially if you needed a house. However, at that time, I'm still going to say they're risky in that there's no financing conditions, there's no home inspection conditions. You don't really. Some people even bought houses sight unseen, which was
That blows my mind.
yeah, I was like, this is not a chocolate bar. Like, you can't just toss it out if you don't like it and get another one. So now you can actually go in, you can negotiate, you can have those conditions. Make sure you got a financing, all right? Make sure that you have home inspections. We had issues where people bought went in firm unconditional, and when they moved in, hey, the basement is flooded. Well, you could have gotten a home condition and you
Yeah.
didn't, so that you have to add that to the price, right? Or financing, right? And financing, you'd be surprised how many people had to resort to private mortgages just to be able to get into the house because they couldn't qualify because they thought they could but they couldn't, and so the interest rate that they're paying on the private mortgages is 8, 9, 10%. So, and that's still higher than the 5% or whatever we are at today for the fix. So I always say, like right now, honestly, in the past 5 years, minimum 5 to 10 years, is we go to, I'd say outside of 2008, so in the past, yeah, 5, 10 years, Canadians are getting a break if they have the courage to enter the market. You just have to have the courage. It's just like stock market. I remember earlier this year, like in January, and I like to follow the stock market just like as a spectator sport. I'm not really an investor, but I like to follow Warren Buffett and all those. And everybody's like, he saved billions of dollars. He's sitting on cash because he doesn't know where to invest. He was just waiting for things to go down. When they did, he's on a buying spree.
Oh
People are
yeah.
on a buying spree. So, and I've seen some really great deals out there
Same
that
here.
you wouldn't imagine at any other time. You're like, whoa. So my I guess my next question then to you is, there's a lot of people who definitely have a need to move up. For example, they've got another kid on the way. They need more space for the office. Just the same stuff that you're kind of covering for, like, explained about yourself. But they're afraid. They're like, no, maybe we should stick it out. Maybe you know what? Like, we're gonna wait for the interest rates to go down. All this other stuff. What's your advice to them? How can they prepare? And again, my advice honestly would be to start looking and not postpone it. But what's your advice in how they should approach the market? How they should make that buying decision? What are those first few steps they should take to get over that fear that they have of what's going on right now?
Well, one thing about fear is that it's, there's a lot unknown, right? And
Yeah.
a lot of things that we can't control. And that's one thing I've always coach our clients on. Like, control, try make decisions on things you can't control. You can't control the interest rates. You can't control house prices.
Mm-hmm.
You can control your decisions and what if you decide to move or not. And to make a decision, you need information. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you get information, get pre-approval, see where you can afford anyways if you were to buy today, right? Like, that's one thing. It doesn't really hurt to get a pre-approval. It's just information you need to do. So once you have that, then you need to get an assessment of their current place, where they're currently living, like what's that worth, like a
Mm-hmm.
range. Very conservative, obviously, because we need to be very conservative in pricing these days. And then after you have that, then we create this thing called a net sheet, where we will say, okay, if you were to sell your house with all the fees and whatever, land transfer tax, all that stuff, this is what you'd be left with as a down payment for your next place. And once we know those numbers and what they're pre-approval for, we know what they can afford. And once we
Mm-hmm.
know what they can afford, then we can look in maybe their favorite neighborhoods that they always want to live in, like that are
Yeah.
on sale right now. That's the thing. Like, these places are on sale right now. It's like the same thing with how stocks are. Stocks are on sale right now. Same thing with houses in certain areas.
Mm.
We're at prices that are about almost 2 years ago. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
All the spikes that we had, like, they're gone. So it's like you get a chance to go back in the future right now and buy a house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so so having said that, once you realize that, then you can see if the decision makes sense. What you can buy is going to help you deal with the pains that you're dealing with right now, which is like, do you need that third bedroom? Do you want that second washroom? Do you ever want that ensuite in your primary bedroom? Like, all those things that you always wanted. Like, is this the opportunity now? Because, like you said, Harris, earlier, you can't time the market. It's impossible. If you wait for the bottom, it's up already before you even know it. And I'm in the trenches. I see real estate every day with data.
Mm.
I can't even time the market. It's impossible. And because
Yeah.
when it's up already, it's up here already. It's not down here already before you even notice it. And by
Yeah.
then, that's when the crowds start coming in because everyone else is noticing too. And now
Yeah.
you're competing with like 10, 20 people already. Because right now it's a little bit more um, civil in terms of the real estate game. You might be competing with one or two people, zero in some places.
Yeah.
We bought places recently for some of our clients where there's no competition at all. We're able to put in financing and home inspection conditions because the sellers understand what the market is right now.
Yeah.
That's why they take advantage of the seller's mindset right now, where they know that it's not a seller's market anymore. That's when
Yeah.
we negotiate, even on prices. We're getting things under list price, like
Oh wow.
yeah. But that's how it is right now because the fear. That's what going back to where Warren Buffett said. You should be fearful when everyone else is greedy,
Yeah.
and be greedy when everyone else is fearful.
Yeah.
So the time to jump in the market is now. Not being just a realtor and trying to say, hey, buy real estate, blah, blah, blah. But if I were someone that's moving up right now, I would do it right now because this might not last long, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We're in
Yeah.
Toronto and the GTA, right? And we know we're at a housing crisis right now. We know that we're not producing, building as many houses that we're going to need for the next 5-10 years. And there's a lot of studies on that right now based on immigrations coming. These are hard data that we're working
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm looking for an investment property next year because I know that this is where it's going to be. We know that rent prices are going to probably skyrocket in the next 5-10 years, and they're
Yeah.
going up already. We're actually we're past pre-pandemic rent prices right now. Like they've gone up and past what they were
Oh.
before the pandemic. So
Oh
we know
wow.
that people are coming back. People are moving back into the city. People are moving into the province. It's happening. You know?
Yeah. No, you know what, like to the real estate thing, the reason I don't necessarily push real estate, but I personally am myself looking for real estate too, because I definitely think it's like a great time to buy. It's just that, and I loved what you just said, because what you kind of gave insight was people who are like myself, right? We're not realtors, and we're not privy to the process. When we think of buying real estate, there's a lot of things that come into our minds, and we get overwhelmed. And you've kind of just said it beautifully, where you just break it down. You come in and you see what do you want, where's your, like, where you are right now, and then based off of that information, you can see what you can afford, and then start going into the neighborhood. So it's a step-by-step decision. It's not a one complete decision that you have to make before understanding anything. It's you start kind of understanding where you are to really understand where you want to go. And maybe, and more often this is the case, I feel like right now, where you are is not as bad as what the media is saying and all the doom and gloom stuff that's online.
No, that's right. No, it's true. That's just because I have a method, I have a process. That's why, and I created this process from being over a decade of being a realtor, and we
Yeah.
tuned it over the years, and because when you break it down, it's not as scary, and it's a
Yeah.
step by step thing, and it's not about. And we never force our clients or pressure them to making decisions. We work with them, and we see ourselves as advisors. And when
Yeah.
we break it down, when it's easy to digest, you can make better decisions, either yes or no, right? And
Yeah.
this is how you do it. And we do. I do a lot of social media reels and Facebook. We actually put a lot of content out that
Mm-hmm.
explains all these things. Just to if anyone wants to follow us on social media, like it explains all our process, explains a lot of things that people may not realize about the market, and because we give our insight about things when not looking at clickbait, not creating like hey,
Yeah.
market's going to crash more. No.
Yeah.
We coach our clients, we educate our clients
Yeah.
about what's going on, and then they make the decision because we see ourselves as a trusted advisor, and we see them as the CEOs. They
Yeah.
make the decisions, not us, but we're guide them along the way.
No, awesome. That's great information. A great way to end off this podcast. Anybody who's listening and wants to get in touch with Kevin, whether you know you're going to buy or sell a house, or whether you're planning on buying or selling a house, I encourage you to reach out to Kevin's team. Depending on where you're listening from, again, I have his contact information either on the side or below. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Kevin. Any last words before we sign off?
No, I just wish everyone a great 2023, a lot of health, a lot of fun adventures, and we're gonna have a great year. And I feel it already, just for everyone. It seems like the mindset of what's going on. I'm very grateful to be on your podcast, Harris. Thank you for having me as well.
Pleasure's all mine. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.